Good morning, students, and welcome to our week number 13 of our course, Competitiveness Model 9 Industry. We're going to change a little bit today about the topic that we're going to study, and the topic is the Pearson square. So we're going to learn how to use this tool for different type of mixture calculations, especially in the food industry. This is important. So let's just start with the objectives that we have for today. That is provide you tools to increase the possibilities of entering the labor and business market. This is one of the main objectives of this course this semester. Second one, you will know the important element to manage social networks to do businesses, importance of industry in the economy. Remember that in all this semester we have learned several topics about industry and also several sectors of industry. And today we're going to learn about the Pearson square and this tool for mixture calculation, how to balance in aeration for any animal in farming. So for all the students that are studying engineer, this is a really important tool that you need to understand. Also for all the ones that are working in the food industry, or in the area agriculture, or also farming, because we here with this tool we can calculate several things. So pay attention to that. So in here we have about what we're going to learn today. First of all is the calculation amount of feed needed for any type. Only for the Pearson square we are going to have two different ingredients and a proportion, a percent of a proportion, and several things that we're going to resolve today. Also, how we're going to select the feed ingredients, how we know the percentage of protein, for example, the percentage of fat, the percent of different vitamins, etc. And how are we going to use the Pearson square? So before that we start with an example that I have been prepared for you. Just let me just stop my presentation here, and I'm going to share with you this video because we need to know who was a core person. Just give me 1 second. 1 second. Let me just share my screen. Just one moment. Give me 1 second. And we're going to talk about the biography of core person. Okay. Here we go. Okay, first of all, we're going to talk about who was Carl Pearson. Well, Carl Pearson was a history, he was a lawyer, he was a mathematics, he was a professor, a biography of English, and a biography of statistics. He was born on March 27 from 1857 in London, and he died on April 27 in 1936 when he was 39 years old. And he graduated from the University of Cambridge in London. He was the creator of the mathematic statistic and the biostatistics. So for the statistic courses, he is really, really important for all the elements that he apport to the statistic. In here, we have some books that he wrote, was The Grammatic of Science and The New Writer. He was known for this tool that we're going to learn today, the Pearson square. His parents were William Pearson and Fanny Smith. He married twice with Mary Sharp and Margaret Childs, and he has three kids. The names were Sigrid, Elga, and Helgon, where Carl Pearson was one of the persons that invented this tool that we're going to learn today. Is the Pearson square is also called the Chi-Pearson square, and this is just a method to prove some hypothesis in an investigation. Also, this is we measure the parametric information of some ingredients to examine different variables in the same population. Also, we have the coefficient of relationship of Pearson. This is also a test that measures several numbers in statistics. And you can take that from the range from +1 to -1. So he was Carl Pearson. I'm just going to say that probably he is the father of statistics. He has several types of contributions. The first contribution of Carl Pearson is the series of conference about the history of statistics that he gave in the college in London through the years 1921 and 1933. The second contribution is the family of curves of capers used also in statistics and mathematics. The next contribution was the method for measure the distance to give an adjustment between the theoretical distribution and experimental distribution. The fourth procedure that he gave us was the correction of the definition of the coefficient of correlation, linear correlation, for study the dependence in statistics and the methods of the moments, just to know several parameters that we don't know from a sample. So Carl Pearson was really, really important for mathematics and statistics. Also, for the most important contribution was the born of the application of the statistic, the applied statistic. That is the most great credit for our person. And also the method that we're going to learn today to get all this estimation or percentage of different type of foods, estimation of the system of frequency of curves for all this distribution, so different aleatory phenomena, also the development of the linear correlation for the application of the theory of the evolution. So he is Carl Pearson, and we're going to learn today about the chi-square Pearson today. Just go back to my presentation. Just give me one moment. Here we go. So this is just an introduction of who was Carl Pearson. If you have any questions, comments about this person and also about all that we're going to learn today, so it will be great to read your comments in the Telegram group or in the channel in the chat that we have. Well, what is the Pearson square? Remember that this is just a tool that we use for simplifying and balancing rations. As I said before, this tool is used in the food industry. It shows the proportions or percentages of two feeds to be mixed together to give a percentage of the needed nutrient. If you can get a piece of paper and your calculator and your pen or pencil, it will be great. So that way you will learn about this tool. In here, I have an example of how we're going to work with the Pearson square. Imagine that we have a little pig that weight 50 pounds, but we want that this pig gained 200 pounds. So we want that this pig gain weight, final weight, will be 250 pounds. So how much food we need, what percent of protein this pig need. So that's why we use that, the Pearson square. So at the end of this circle, we want that this pig weight 250 pounds. So we're going to multiply 200 pounds that we have in here by 3.5. But where we got this 3.5? Well, this is an average that come from the industry food. Remember that for every food we have several type of conversion of radius. The average food is 3.5 for the feed conversion for pigs. So we're going to multiply this 200 by 3.5. So we need 700 pounds for feed of this little pig, so that the pig can weigh 250 pounds. I know that is kind uh, of hard to understand right now, but you're going to see, and with the video that I have been prepared for you, and you will see that it's really, really easy. So a feeding standards table show that 18% is the crude protein that the food for the pigs have. So it's important to remember those numbers. The feed should be selected on the price of the feed. Remember that cost is really important for any type of industry, any type of business, and for the nutrients that we want. So let's say that we're going to use corn and soybean. For the soybean, we have these letters that we're going to represent that. For our example, SBM, but it's soybean and corn. So we have these two ingredients, corn, and we have soybean. So we have two ingredients. So we have the corn composition. We know that the crude protein is 8.9% and the soybean has 44%. When we calculate in the Pearson squares, we always have a number that is higher than the other one and have to be higher than the percent of what we're looking for. So using the Pearson square, we're going to use that to calculate how much corn and soybean meal need to be mixed together to make these 700 pounds that we want for our little piggy. And still achieve, we want that these 700 pounds got 80% of protein, because this is the protein that we want that our little piggy has. Okay, so what we're going to do now, if you can go with me, just get a piece of paper, your calculator, and a pen. First of all, we need to draw a square. That's what we call the Pearson square. So we draw this square. So please go with me step by step. And the second part is just draw a diagonal, like an X, in the center of our square. So please do that. Draw a square and then just place diagonal lines across the square. Just draw an X in the center of your square. So what is the next step? So we really know that the percentage of crude protein in is 18%. Remember that I said, remember those numbers. So that's the percentage of protein that we want that our 700 pounds has. So we're going to put in the center of our square this number 18, that represent the 18% of crude protein that we want. Okay, so the next step that we're going to work with is we're going to write the feeds to be used in each corner. We're going to put that in here, the first ingredient, that is corns. The primary feed always goes in the bottom left, and the supplementary feed in the top left. In this case, corn is the supplementary feed. It doesn't matter where you put it anyways, but it's better if you put it that way that when I'm showing you. If you were feeding hay and corn, how you be primary feed? Well, will be corn. And the percent of protein in the feed after the name of the feed. So we put in here corn, and we put there the percent of the protein of the corn. And in the bottom, we're going to put the soybean and the percent of the soy. So now we have three numbers here. We have 8.9 of corn, 44.4 of soybean, and 80% of the crude protein. So if you have any question, please let me know. Or if you don't understand a part of the Pearson square, I will be glad to explain you. Okay, so what is the next step? So we're going to take the protein level of each feed ingredient and subtract it from the amount of protein needed in the center of the box and reposit that. So we have in here this number, 8.9. what we're going to do is subtract that from this number, that is 18, and we're going to have this subtract, we have this answer, 9.1. It's the same here. That you can see here is 18 minus 8.9. So we have the 9.1. We're going to put that right here in this corner. And for the other part, we have the 44.4. We're going to subtract that from the 18%, and we have this answer, 26.4. And is this process that we have in here, 44.4 minus 18, we have 26.4. So just get your calculator and do that. So this 26.4 is the same one that we have in this corner. So we're just subtracting these numbers from the number in the middle, and we have the answer in the other corner. So now we have two more answers. We have the 26.4 and the 9.1. Okay? So that's what I want that you go with me step by step so you can do that also. So remember that if you have any question, please let me know. If you want that you repeat the process, I will be glad to do that with you. And with the video that we're going to have, we have two more examples to work so that way you can know how to use the Pearson square. Okay, so remember that if you have any negative number like this one, well, 8.9, it's less than 18. It doesn't matter. You just have to subtract 18 minus the 8.9. So that way you will have this number. So if the protein is higher, you just don't worry about that, but don't use negative number. We cannot use negative numbers. So it doesn't matter if you subtract from here or there, we're going to have the same answers. And this is the answers that we have right now. Okay, let's continue with the next step. Just I'll remind you, we have those numbers right now. So with this subtraction, we have 26 parts of corn. We have 9.1 parts of soybean. And when we add these two numbers, so 26.4 plus 9.1, we have these total numbers. That is when we add these two numbers, 26.4 plus 9.1. So we have another number here. So let's continue with the process. So now we know how we're going to get these numbers. Remember that this 18 is a percentage of the crude. This is a percent of the corn, 8.9. This is the percent of the soy, is 4.4. Remember that we subtract this minus this, we have this number that is go here, 26%. And also when we subtract this number minus the 18, we have this number that goes right there. And how we have this 35.5? So we add 26 plus 9.1 is equal to 35.5. That is the number that we have in here. And our next step is divide these numbers. You have to divide the 26 between the 35.5 and the 9.1 between the 35.5. So let's go with this percentage. So in here you have the answers. If you can get that, get your calculator and work with me. So we're going to divide the 26.4 divide 35.5. But remember that is a percent. We have to multiply that for 100. So in here we have this number. So we need 74.4% of corn. And we do the same thing with the soybean. We have the 9.1 divide 35.5. We have 0.256 per 100. We have 26.6 is the answer. So in here we have two new answers to continue with our calculation. Okay. So in here we have this square, how it looks like right now. And in the next step, we're going to put the answers of the divisions, like we had in here. So we have these answers, the final answers that we have in here. But remember that we really know that we need 700 pounds. Well, that was our first calculation. We need these 700 pounds so that way our little pig is going to gain these 200 pounds. So what we're going to do, we're going to multiply the 700 pounds for our final percent that was 7.44 and the 700 pounds for the 256. So what if you add, we had in here these questions. Okay, we just right there. You have this answer, 528 pounds plus 179.2. We have this answer that goes for the 7 pounds. So now we know that we need 520 pounds of corn and 179.2 pounds of soy. This to complete the 700 pounds of feed with the 18% of protein. This is our final answer. Okay, so now we're going to see a video that have another example, and it's in Spanish, so they will be easier to understand. So let me just share that with you. Give me 1 second. Okay, here we go. Just one moment. So pay attention to that. We're going to see that.
Hola, ¿qué tal? El día de hoy vamos a hablar de una herramienta que utilizamos en la parte de la alimentación de los animales y es el cuadrado de Pearson. ¿Por qué hablar de ello? Bueno, pues porque uno de los gastos mayores que se realizan en las unidades de producción animal es el concerniente a la alimentación, entre un 70 hasta un 80%. Y entre más eficientes seamos en la calidad de los alimentos, así como en su calidad de mezclado, pues podremos entonces disminuir o mantener una economía sana en nuestra unidad de producción. Así que vamos a hablar entonces hoy del desarrollo del cuadrado de Pearson simple. ¿Por qué decimos esto? Bueno, pues porque en este ejemplo solamente vamos a utilizar dos ingredientes o dos materias primas y hay dos condiciones a cumplir. La primera es de que uno de los ingredientes debe de estar por arriba del valor buscado y otro debe de estar por debajo.
So remember that in here, this is the simple Pearson square, and we have some condition to accomplish. The first one, that we have the two ingredients, and one of the ingredients have to go up of the value that we're looking for, and the other ingredient have to be under the value that we're looking for, like the example that we just see in the slides. Remember that we have the 44 and the 9.6%, and we're looking for the 18% of crude protein. So remember that, please.
Vamos a verlo en el ejemplo numérico y para esto te recomiendo que detengas por un momento el video y puedas copiar en una hoja el diagrama o la guía que te estoy enseñando.
Okay, as you see here, we're going to work with the same process that I just teach you. So first of all, we're going to draw this square. Remember that we have to draw an X. And in this type of square, they just put a small square just to put here the percent of the protein or whatever percent we are looking for. And in here, we're going to put the name of the two ingredients. On here, we're going to have the answer of the subtraction. Then we're going to divide that in the sum of these two. Then we will multiply that by 100 and we're going to get these answers right there. Okay, pay attention to that and please get a paper, a pen, and your calculator so you can learn that. Pay attention to the video.
En este momento, para que sobre esta podamos nosotros hacer algún ejercicio hasta que lo llegues a dominar y entonces ya no lo necesitarás. Por favor, copia la hoja.
So please copy that.
Gracias por continuar con nosotros. Ahora, Como comentamos, vamos a utilizar solamente dos ingredientes. Se denomina cuadrado de Pearson porque efectivamente hacemos un cuadrado, lo vamos a dibujar y en una de ellas lo que vamos a colocar es, en la parte de arriba, es el ingrediente o el porcentaje también, mejor dicho, de la característica que yo busco. Vamos a imaginarnos que busquemos proteína, entonces ponemos el porcentaje de la proteína que buscamos en la parte de arriba y en la parte de abajo de ese cuadrado también pondremos el porcentaje del otro ingrediente. En el medio, en el centro de ese cuadrado, vamos a colocar nosotros la característica o el porcentaje del dato, en este caso proteína, como ya dijimos, que vamos a estar buscando. Posteriormente, lo que vamos a hacer son restas, dos restas, ¿sí? La primera es del porcentaje que tenemos del elemento que está arriba, se le vamos a restar el número o el porcentaje deseado y lo vamos a escribir o a colocar en el ángulo contrario y que está señalado ahorita por la flecha de color café. Ahí es donde vamos a colocar el resultado de esa resta o diferencia. Vamos a hacer exactamente lo mismo con el otro ingrediente y vamos a colocar ese resultado en el lado contrario. Después de ahí, lo que vamos a hacer es sumar ese resultado de las diferencias para tener un dato que vamos a utilizar para dividir. Así que lo vamos a colocar en donde están las líneas rojas y vamos entonces a dividir el resultado de la resta o diferencia entre el resultado de esa suma que tuvimos en este momento. Ya una vez que lo hicimos, vamos a tener un dato que nos va a ayudar para poder llegar al porcentaje. Ese resultado que vamos a tener en cada uno de los elementos lo vamos a multiplicar por 100 y eso me va a estar indicando el porcentaje de participación de cada uno de los ingredientes en la mezcla que nosotros querramos usar. Cuando lo sumamos, nos debe de dar entonces como resultado un 100%. Nada más quiero hacer una aclaración. Si tú al hacer este ejercicio utilizas la calculadora o el lápiz nada más y no vas a utilizar más de 5 o 6 dígitos después del punto decimal, seguramente el resultado te va a salir en 99.99 en infinito por ciento, cosa que nos está indicando que es correcto. Sin embargo, si por cualquier situación te sale en 99.1 o menos de 99, está mal el proceso y tendremos nosotros que revisar. Siempre.
Remember that part. In all this process, it's important to understand that if we did something wrong in the process, we always can go back and check. Remember that the final sum or addition have to be 100%. But if you have 99.999, it's okay, it's perfect. But if you have less than that, you need to review all the process because something is not right.
Siempre debe de salir 100% si lo haces con las calculadoras directamente o la computadora o el 99.99% en infinito. Vamos a hacerlo ahora con números.
Okay, what I wanted to do now is that you please write with me. Draw your square and we pay attention to the number because in this exercise, we're going to have the numbers. First of all, he explained all this process. That was the one that I explained to you. And I want that you check why that is so important.
Como dijimos, lo primero que tenemos que hacer es dibujar este cuadro, ya de ahí colocar en el centro pues, otro cuadrito o solamente imaginarlo para colocar ahí el dato. Vamos a hablar acá de dos ingredientes. Podrás remontarte al dibujo que hiciste, a la copia que hiciste de la croquis de guía, o bien irlo haciendo conforme vayamos nosotros diciendo y pausando el video que vamos a tener. Vamos a ver dos ingredientes básicamente en este caso. Por un lado, la pasta de soya con un 49.9% de proteína y el otro ingrediente que debe ser por abajo, supone, ahorita vamos a ver cuál es el porcentaje que vamos a buscar, de este sería del 4.4% para el caso de la paja de avena.
Okay. In here, we have our two ingredients. We have the oatmeal and we have the soybean. So, and this is the percents. But how we get those percent? What is something that already know? We have some tables for agriculture that say how much protein has each ingredient. So this is just to get feed for animals. And also we can work with dairy products like milk, for example, about the fat of the milk, in different products from the food industry. So remember that we have these two ingredients and we're going to work with that.
Vamos a escribirlos. En lo particular, a mí me gusta anotar el número superior o el número que de mayor valor en la parte de arriba del cuadrado y en la parte inferior el valor más bajo.
It doesn't matter if you put the higher number on the top or in the bottom. You can, it's your choice. You can write 49% on the top or under and the 4.4 up or down. It doesn't matter.
Posteriormente a esto voy a colocar en el centro del cuadrado el valor que yo voy a estar buscando. En este caso me interesa un 15% de proteína. Vamos a realizar, conforme habíamos mencionado, las restas correspondientes. A 49.9 le voy a restar 15 y ese resultado lo voy a colocar en el ángulo contrario inferior. Así que me va a dar como resultado el 34.9. Posteriormente voy a realizar lo mismo con el dato de valor inferior y tenemos entonces que a 4.4 si le resto 15.5 me daría menos 10.6. Pero en función del cuadrado y del método vamos a olvidarnos del número negativo. Voy a colocar simple y sencillamente el valor numérico.
Remember that we don't use negative number in this process. It doesn't matter if your answer give you minus x, but you also have to get a positive number always, all the time.
Tenemos 10.6 y 34.9. Ambos valores los vamos a sumar, como habíamos mencionado anteriormente, y el resultado que me dé, que en este caso es 45.5, que viene en color rojo para que lo ubiques, lo vamos a utilizar para dividir los resultados anteriores. Así que tenemos 10.6 entre 45.5 y 34.9 entre 45.5. En cada uno de estos valores o cada una de estas operaciones que me da el resultado, en el primero, punto 2329 y en el segundo, punto 7670. Para convertirlo en porcentaje, lo único que tengo que hacer es multiplicar cada uno de ellos por 100 y vemos que en el caso de la pasta de soya tendrán que ser el 23.3%, porque estoy aproximando, el 29, ¿sí? El 23.3% de soya o de pasta de soya, y en el caso de la paja de avena, el 76.70%. Cuando yo lo sumo, me va a dar como resultado un 100. Esto significa que si yo hiciera 100 kilogramos buscando un porcentaje del 15%, 23 kilos con 300 gramos serían de pasta de soya y 76 kilos con 70 gramos serían de la paja de avena. Si quisiera.
Okay. So in here we have complete this example. Remember that in here, all this process is not that hard. It's really, really easy to use. Remember that the first step is to draw our square. Just put in the center the protein that we're looking for, or the fat, or we are talking about the dairy product, for example. And also we want to put the percent of protein that has every ingredient. The next step is just subtract across, and we're going to get these numbers, this one and this one. And the next step, we're just going to add these numbers. And with this answer, that is 45.5, we got in here and in here, and we're going to get a division of this number through 45.5, and we're going to have that number, and we multiply that for 100. That's why we got this number of 23.3. And it's the same thing. We got the 34.9 from the subtraction. We divide that into 45.5, and then we multiply that for 100, and we have that percent. So this is just something interesting, because in here, remember that we have talked about the soybean. We're going to have 76%, and from the corn, 23.30. So those are kilograms if we are looking for 100. And remember that if in here you don't have 100, or your answer is 99.999, it's okay. But if you have less than that, you have to review all the process to get that.
Quiera hacer una cantidad diferente, por ejemplo, 800 o 1000 o 1300, en fin, algún número que no fuera múltiplo de 100, lo único que tengo que hacer es una regla de 3 para saber cuántos kilos equivaldrían al 23.3% o al 76.70%. Pero me va a quedar una duda. ¿Cómo sé también que este resultado es el adecuado? Pues vamos a
So here we have a formula just to prove that all that we have done, it's okay. So pay attention to this test.
probar entonces el aporte que nos está dando de proteína cada uno de los ingredientes. Para esto, lo que voy a hacer es, voy a tomar el porcentaje de proteína que aporta y lo voy a multiplicar por el porcentaje de participación en la mezcla y lo vamos a dividir entre 100. Vemos entonces acá en el video o en la imagen la característica o la fórmula para que tú la puedas copiar y la puedas tener en lo que aprendes de memoria o dominas la técnica. Esta operación lo vamos a hacer para cada uno de los elementos y posteriormente lo vamos a sumar para ver cuál es el porcentaje de proteína en su participación y si está correcto esa suma con lo que nosotros estamos buscando. Recordemos, en el caso de la pasta de soya, la proteína es del 49.9% y su porcentaje de participación es del 23.3%. Así que para la paja de avena dijimos que era 4.4% según las tablas de nutrición y la participación en esta fórmula o en este cuadrado que nos resultó fue del 76.7%. Al multiplicarla nos dan los números que ves en pantalla y estos, cada uno de ellos lo vamos a dividir entre 100. Una vez que tenemos nosotros el resultado, ese es el valor o el porcentaje de proteína que me está aportando cada uno de los elementos a la ración. Cuando lo sumamos, en este caso me da 15 y es efectivamente el porcentaje requerido que estoy buscando a través de esta fórmula.
Okay. As you see here in this video, we have learned about how to use the Pearson squares to get a certain type of certain percent of protein in a different product. And this is how we're going to prove that how we have worked is okay. So we have the protein that we have at the first number of soy and meal and the oatmeal, and we're going to multiply for the answers that we have, the 23.3 and 76.7, and we divide that in 100. And when you see, this is right because we have the percentage of protein that represent every ingredient and is accomplishing with the 15% that we were looking for. So if you have any question, please let me know. I'm just going to go back here just to make a little review of how this looks like and how we have all these example right with numbers. If you see here, what we have to do just as a review, everything just to start with a square. And that's what he called Pearson square. Remember that now you know who was Carl Pearson, that was the father of statistics. And when we have two different types of ingredients, it doesn't matter what type of ingredient you have, what you have to do is just subtract in an X for the percent of protein that we're looking for. When we got those answers that you have right here and right here, you just have to add those. You just sum or add these numbers and you're going to have that number. So what we're going to do with that number, you're going to divide that from the answer that we have from the subtraction. When we got these new answers, you're going to multiply that for 100 and you're going to get the final answer that for that. So that way we're going to know how much soy and oat we need for that 100%. And remember with this 100%, if this answer, it don't give you that 100% exactly, depends the decimal that you're using, you can get the 99.9. So this is the tool that we have learned for today. And let me just share my screen with you one more time. And we're going to have the questions that we're going to have for week number 13. Remember that we're going to have our test on next Sunday. So be prepared for your test. You have to study the questions and presentations from week 7 to week number 11 for the second partial test. So be prepared for the test and just have here the question that we have for today. Number 1, is a tool used for simplifying and balancing ratios. What is the name? Well, the answer is Pearson square. Number 2, it shows the proportion of percentages of two feet to be mixed together to give a percent of needed nutrient. What is the name of that process? Number 3, what is the first step to be the Pearson square? Remember, the first step is just draw a square. That the answer. Number 4, where goes the supplementary feed in the Pearson square? Remember that we have in here the square. Well, where it goes, you have to give me, it goes right here in the up corner or in the low corner. And the last question, the numbers of the two corners of Pearson squares of part of. Everything is in the presentation. In a few minutes, I'm going to send the link of the class that we have today, also the link of the video that with the explanation of that. And remember that we're going to send also the presentations from week 7 to week 11 so that you can have all the material and be prepared for that. Well, yesterday was Mother's Day. So for all the students that are mothers, happy Mother's Day. God bless you and have a great, great day. And good luck in your test next Sunday. You have any question, please let me know. And don't forget to write me in the chat. Thank you so much for your attention. Have a great day and an excellent week.